So originally the idea is that I was going to watch this 890 video and record over it and kind of experience it the same way that you would experience it and comment on it. But I realized that because the original video was almost an hour long, the resulting video, as I was recording it, I was going, oh man, this is going to end up being way, way too long. And so I was trying to figure out ways to kind of cut it and put it together. But at that point, it just became me re-recording my reactions. And I was just like, well, that's not really genuine anymore. And I'm just kind of like hitting my notes or whatnot. And it wasn't working. And it was going to be far too long of an episode. So what we're going to get today, and I'm sorry that it's late because of that, but it is going to be the TLDR version of what I thought of this view of the highly impressive 890 jump. One of the first things I saw, I really kind of like the lighting here, and you can see the cursor moving on the screen, and I was kind of looking at it, I was saying, you know what? It would almost be cool if there were recesses there for torpedo tubes, kind of like a World War II style sub-torpedo launching system or whatever, torpedo tubes. That would have looked really cool. But overall, the entire ship it's just so visually impressive. And once again, it's that thing as every time we come out with a new ship, every time a new ship kind of hits the scene, it always improves on the last one. And this represents a massive improvement over the 600. And if you go and watch the video, or if you have watched the video, you'll note that one of the things that they said very early on is chances are we're probably going to revisit the 600 at some point in the future, though they did not commit to a date, obviously, to kind of bring it up to par with the 890, at least in terms of appearance and sophistication, because the 890 just really is an impressive ship. Now, another thing that they delved into, of course, was the turrets. And when they kind of pointed out these turrets, I've never been a huge follower of the 890 jump for obvious reasons. Not because I don't like the ship, not because I think anyone who bought the ship is, dumb or anything like that, but, I'm a pirate, so this isn't exactly what I would be going for. But when they were talking about the turret, and I think they're going to zoom in there in just a second to look at it, but they revealed the fact that, it's only got 2 size 4 guns on it. And I kind of thought, wow, that's it? I mean, that's the turret armament on a Caterpillar. And even that, I would argue, is somewhat insufficient, depending on, the end use of the ship. I was kind of shocked by that, but they did say that they are open to, I guess, upping it, and I think that rightly so. It should be upped for a ship of this size, though. The way the turrets are specifically designed around the idea of 2 guns, I don't know, can you even fit an even larger gun in there? It could cause a number of issues, so not sure exactly how they're going to fix that. The missile launchers I thought were really cool. It kind of reminded me of those little mini turrets that you saw on the saucer section of the Kelvin in the first of the new Star Trek movies not too long ago. And overall, there was a bit of a Federation vibe to this ship. There was a bit of a military vibe overall to this. Almost, it was very reminiscent of the more recent Star Trek movies, in both good and bad ways. I mean, in the more recent Star Trek movies, I've kind of, I have a number of gripes with those films, but the interior of the Enterprise was kind of a big one because it looked kind of overly futuristic and overly neat and tidy, and it just didn't seem to really seem to have a lot of personality. And that was originally one of the problems that I had with the 600 series, is that they really just seemed like futuristic dentist offices. But in the best way that they could, they really have added personality to the 890 jump. it really does have kind of like a quality all its own that obviously kind of necessitates a bit of a revamp in the 600 series as well, because it seems like more of a living space and less, I don't know, what would be the word, clinical, if you know what I mean. It very much seemed like a laboratory or a doctor's office more than anything else. And I really like these windows here, like kind of like this kind of inverted V, normal V, where they kind of interchange, almost like a Star Destroyer. Like you can almost see Darth Vader kind of walking back and forth through there. It was really, really great. I was so impressed with this ship. And I kind of found myself more and more wishing that Origin had created a militarized variant of this ship, because it obviously holds so much potential in that regard. Now, what you're looking at here, of course, is the escape raft hatch, which, behind that, there's going to be an escape raft that's kind of like the personnel cargo kind of component of the Argo MPUV, and, 10 people can get in there and escape the ship as the ship is going down or being captured, whatever. And, they kind of, talked about how that's, of course, a work in progress. That's not a finished thing. And then they went on to the docking doors towards the rear and talked about how that, of course, wasn't a thing in the game yet. And, this isn't a new thing. Plenty of ships have this. Of course, the Caterpillar is, a very big example of this. It's supposed to be a ship that detaches into two ships. The main, command module is supposed to be, a detachable, separate ship, or a lifeboat, if you will. And what I'm trying to illustrate with this, and when they're talking about revisiting the guns potentially, and they probably would need something of a change in that area, just artistically, to make bigger guns fit or to add more guns to the turret, is that these ships are all a work in progress. Each iteration, each step forward with each ship, it incorporates more of the feedback from the player community, and overall, ships do improve as time goes on. And the 890 Jump is a ship that has benefited from so many ships coming before it. I mean, it almost seems to have a weapon locker in the airlock instead of just, a couple of extra slots to put in spacesuits. Be a heck of an idea for something like the Hammerhead. But, as these ships come out, as these later and later ships come out, there's always the temptation. I've talked about this in the past, where it's feeling like, well, all the ships that I own are now flight ready, so I don't care anymore, blah, 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 blah. But it's these later ships that seem to be reaping the most benefit of the feedback that we've been giving on the currently flyable ships for years. And the 890 Jump is certainly something that it really represents another leap ahead in ship design. I mean, it does have that sort of futurist kind of design that you saw in the 600 series, yet it's got the touches like houseplants and things like that make it look more like a luxurious and nice environment and less like a clinical, science laboratory or something like that. And that, I think, is really kind of the 890 Jump's strength, is that while the 600 series kind of felt more like a collage of some kind of like futuristic, house design type things that someone picked up off of Pinterest and kind of mishmashed together and made into a spaceship, the 890 Jump feels more like a living space. It feels more like a welcoming, kind of luxury space yacht that you kind of want to fly on. And I mean, just even looking through this kind of atrium here and looking up at the stars up above you, it really is amazing. I think they're kind of overdoing it with the interior reflection. I think that kind of detracts from the beauty of the space outside the ship. And I think that that's still a big stumbling block that CIG has, is that they got to remember that the game is actually outside of the ship as much as it is inside. But this really is a huge step in the right direction, and hopefully when they do come around to revisiting the 600 as they indicated they may do, that a lot more of these elements are incorporated and those ships are, brought forward as well. Anyways, unfortunately, that is all. Sadly, the Cutlass Red has still not seemingly moved forward into production. It is still scheduled, and time until 3.7 is rapidly dwindling away. So it looks like that ship is going to end up getting delayed. But apart from that, that's it this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.